Last time on Wanderful.
The interesting thing, which is I think what he's trying to get us to figure out, this map updates
fills in on its own.
Yeah.
A man breaks through the tree line and seemingly accidentally runs into you. Please help us. They've got
buddy.
us.
Whoa, easy. We took a nasty tumble there. Who are they?
Knowles.
Oh.
We got to save his men now because they're going to get eaten. It's hyena men. They're going to eat them because that's what hyena men do.
6 Knowles
come
in from the wood, followed by 4 more Krishantel men.
Is this about to be a TPK right now?
An arrow whizzes out of the wood and strikes one of the Krishantel men right at the base of the spine. Gather our men and get them to medical. Where I'm pretty sure our king would be incredibly grateful for all you've done for, sticking your neck out for our men. You all believed that cities like this were only a thing you read in books. Gentlemen, this is our king. Oh, please, Pharrell. There are no kingdoms in yonder. My name is Otto Thandor, and this is Dahlia. Welcome to our home. After the last episode, the 3 of you entered into Thandor, or were led into Thandor, and King Otto welcomed you with open arms, and you all were welcomed as guests. They threw feasts for you, they set you up with nice housing, and the 3 of you were just kind of enjoying the big city life.
The Sex in the City music starts playing.
Exactly. It's just like that. There's going to be tons of sex in this episode.
I'm walking on the city streets and a car drives by and splashes my dress just before my big meeting.
I hate when that happens. So it's been a few days. Y'all have just been, y'all have had such a crazy week that y'all have honestly earned a bit of rest. So a few days into your stay here in Thandor, you, Bon, are invited by the king to a private dinner.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, and you've spent some time around the king. They call him the king, but the king has insisted, I don't see myself as a king. King kind of he tries to not put himself on this pedestal, even though he is building a castle for himself.
Yeah, he's literally building the pedestal and stepping on.
For sure, but he tries to. He likes to keep an air of accessibility, if you will.
He's the king of the people.
He's the people's king.
He's the
democratically elected.
Oh man, not a monarchy. He wasn't born into this. They voted for him.
Exactly. You're invited to a private dinner, and when you arrive into the dining hall that you've been in many times, you see the table is set for 3 people.
Oh shit!
And you enter in the room, and King Otto stands and greets you. He says, "Hello, Bon. Welcome. I'm so glad you were able to join me. I have quite the treat for you. I do believe. Oh, won't you sit with me?"
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I'm underdressed. This is like a little private thing.
Oh no. It's quite all right. And he pours you some wine. I assume Bon drinks.
Yeah, on occasion, sure.
Yeah, some wine. It's.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who does the little swirlies with the glass. He knows what he's doing with the wine. He's got more wine knowledge than I do.
So he pours you some wine, and just to set the scene, you're set on one side of the table. Across from you is an empty placemat, and at the left of you is the king. The king sitting at the head of the table. Do you have anything you want to say to the king, or are you just sitting there awkwardly waiting for him to say something?
Oh no, I just so what's this all about? This seems a little intimate for some of our other gatherings, don't you think? What is this? He's a little flustered, I feel like. He's like, is this king taking me on a dinner date?
No. Don't be bothered. I wanted to invite you here because, and he's interrupted by the large double doors that lead into this hall being swung open. Swung sounds violent. That's not necessarily true. They're just like pulled open, and Otto stands up. He says, "What timing?" He stands up and stretches out both hands in the stranger's direction and says, "Welcome, Aria." Two armed men, followed by a finely dressed, ornately jeweled person, enter into the hall. And Aria, who you assume to be the well-dressed person, bows slightly at you and King Otto before sitting at the table.
I think I give a bow back, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do they look like? What am I just because?
Yeah. So
jewelry.
You actually can assume, not to assume this person's identity or anything, but they're dressed in fine robes and nice jewelry, and they have a light blue skin similar to your own. So you kind of, you've never met another Genasi. Genasi are somewhat of a rarer race. I don't know what Bon would know about like the goings on of the world. I've kind of we've kind of collectively been setting up that the three of you have not like explored the world a ton. You've mostly stayed to your part of Yonder off to the west. So
I think he's probably shocked seeing another Air Genasi, like not in like a bad way or anything. He's just like, there are more of me out there kind of situation.
Do you say that, or is that just in your head?
No, I think he's just kind of like dumbfounded looking, like it's maybe like could come off as like a, wow, this person's hot, but more in his head it's just like, this person is me essentially, like not quite exactly to the like detail of like.
Yeah. So Aria sits down at the table and nobody quite says anything.
Aria, was it? I know this seems a bit forward, but you're an Air Genasi, yes?
And Aria kind of slyly smiles and tilts their head down. And King Otto, you look up, you notice King Otto's kind of like a little giddy in his seat. He chimes in. He's like, "Oh, this is so exciting. I've always wanted Thandor to be a place for people to come together. And now look, two Genasi in my town." And he's clearly trying not to be offensive or anything, and I don't know that you would come off.
He's an ally. He's an ally.
Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that it would come off as offensive, but he's like, he clearly knows as well that Genasi are few and far between and are somewhat not revered, but like through their rarity, he's just excited to get to know.
It's a new occurrence. It's like something that's like, it's like a celebrity but not a celebrity situation.
Yes.
You know.
So he kind of collects himself and he says, "Anyway, I'm gonna leave you two alone to talk. I just was so excited to get to meet both of you, and if you need anything, give me a ring." And he gets up from the table and as he says, "Gives me a ring," he rings at a little bell beside the door he's walking through, and he walks out. Aria looks at you and says, "Well, sorry, I need to get a voice for Aria, I guess."
Yeah.
Looks at you and says, "Well, this may be a little weird, but Otto mentioned there was another Air Genasi around, and well, I just had to see it."
No, I'd heard nothing of you up until this very moment. This. I have so many questions, but I also don't want to overwhelm you.
No, that's quite all right.
Where do you hail from? Where are we from? I guess. What are like?
Well,
Wow.
I come from up north. I've known Otto for quite a while, actually. We met around the time he was starting Thandor, and I was I'm sort of a nomadic person. I like to see the world and meet people, and I met Otto, and I was passing through town, I should say, and he said that there was another Genasi, and I figured, why not meet a fellow kindred spirit, if you will.
Of course, and you say no. Is there like a haven for Genasi, maybe, or some sort of city of people like us, or something? I know nothing of the world other than my two brothers who are comedically absent, and I've never even seen someone like me. So this is all just very
well. Believe it or not, through my travels, I've only met maybe one other Genasi. I mean, the circumstances of our existence are a bit more, well, mystic. I don't mean to bloviate or anything, but
no, I get it. There's a connection between us and the elements, and that says something enough.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I guess I shouldn't assume
yeah.
every Genasi knows our origins.
Well, for sure. I mean, we do have a sort of connection that a lot of the other people of this world seem to lack. Legend has it that we are descendants of Jinn, which are, basically like mystical genies.
I think I've read a children's book about that. A boy finds a lamp.
Yeah, yes.
Some questionable things.
And there's a parrot, and is Iago a parrot?
Snake. I think he's a parrot, which is so strange to me.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, yeah.
A tropical bird is in the desert.
Maybe he's not a parrot. I don't know.
He's a desert parrot.
I've never read this book. Seen this tome.
It was called Al-Adin.
Al-Adin. Bon, this is such a unique experience getting to meet another Air Genasi. Might I ask, what would you say? I'm just curious how your connection to the elements or the planes, or like, I'm just curious to hear a little about your experience and to see if it differs from any of mine. Like, do you feel like you have a strong like connection? Is it more of a spiritual thing, or does it manifest in some sort of physical way?
I am a cleric of the element of air and storms and things, but I don't know that it's a faith or spiritual thing. It's almost like a calling. I don't
think spirituality has to be tied to some sort of faith. I don't think.
Fair. I mean, I've always had an affinity for hearing what the wind had to say. I suppose is the best way I could put it. Not quite that it speaks with words, but in situations in which I need help, I'm able to draw from the element because of my connection, but I know very little. When I was born or gained consciousness, I guess, I floated into a small village. No idea where I'd come from or how I got there. I just knew I was there, and I wandered for a bit, and then I found a family that wasn't Genasi, but, like, I just know who I am. I don't know what I am, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they chuckle because... Bon, I'm just so curious if this is a universal experience for our kind. This is such a small sample size, being two.
Very true.
But the same can be said for me. I mean, through my experience, I feel like I was just here one day.
Yes.
I never got to meet whatever birthed or created me. Are we born? I mean,
That's
guess.
that's the $1 million question, I guess you could say.
Do jinn have vaginas? I don't.
Are they just, a rogue sneeze and like a cloud gets caught in it and then that goes blowing down and then, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Just a little snot baby. I don't know. It's very fascinating. I've read some books and I know that there are others that aren't air like we are, but I've never seen them in person. And that's why it's so, I think that's the biggest question. Why is it so mysterious? Why are we so hidden away from each other? This feels right. I don't know if you're feeling it, not necessarily like a that way, like it wasn't like a setup thing from the king. Like, I don't know you that well, but I feel as though there's a kindredness here that is just natural. And we both have the same questions, and I'm sure there are others out there like us with these same questions.
It's funny because, like, I mean, for all we know, we could be related. Not to say that all Genasi are related or anything like that, but
is a breeze any different from a hurricane or a storm?
Yeah,
it's all the same wind.
Our existence is manifested differently than, say, man or elf. It feels like there's a bit of a connection, be it physical or metaphysical, between us. I don't know. It's interesting.
I don't know. I feel like we could ponder this between the two of us who know nothing, but we have a king at our disposal, and I'm more than sure there's a library or some sort of research place that we could maybe find more information if you care to join me. And he kind of gives a smile.
That sounds great.
He runs. He just and like sends a little gust of wind and ding ding. Chimes the bell.
So we're gonna do a impromptu scene. I hadn't planned this, but I like it. So the two of you are led by King Otto to his I mean, not private library, but he's accumulated tons of works and books and scrolls and all sorts of things. And he finds a book and he pulls it out and he's like, "Oh, I've read this many times." And he opens it up and pages through it, and he says, "So from what I've read, and this is all, I mean, it's not infallible. This is just record of people's personal experience and such." And he says, basically, it seems like in the days of old, your people, while not much more plentiful, were more or less feared, or even like in some instances hunted. Not hunted as in like an animal, but more as in like witch hunts, if that makes sense. Would that exist in this sort of world? Let's say yes. But like
it's these people, because we're like Genasis are kind of like the bridge between elements and man.
Yeah.
So like I get that, to study and see how that works, or be fearful of these.
He basically explains that your people were feared for being so different and for existing in a way that doesn't make a lot of logical sense, because like you are like an embodiment of an element and a soul. Like it doesn't for lesser minds, I will say, that was just generally scary. And this isn't, I mean, as far as you know, I guess this isn't a thing anymore. This is an old book talking about times a long time ago,
Are there any record in there of maybe like a past time where there was like a gathering, or like a place that they sort of like, that was their safe haven before things kind of hit the fan?
Basically, from record, Genasi tend to not congregate. I don't know why that might be. Genasi tend to sort of exist on their own, and they not on their own, but rather they sort of integrate into the civilization and their societies that they are left in. There's records of Genasi being dropped into nomadic trading groups and just make that their home and just incorporate themselves into that.
Constantly.
And then there are other records of Genasi dropping into mining villages and just adopting this way of life. It seems as if your people are very adaptable, let's say. Your people are just willing to play the hand they're dealt, if you will.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This is a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I'd never know that about my people. Thank you, King.
I'm just glad I was able to introduce the two of you and I mean, more or less, I guess, teach you about your people. It feels weird to say that. I mean, it it feels a little inappropriate of me to assert,
but for the two of us, it's as good as any leads we already had. So, yeah, it's a step in the right direction, I feel. I don't think it was overstepping a bound. I didn't know there was a bound to step over.
Well, fair, I guess. Carveth, you've come out of the last few adventures and battles pretty unpleased with your performance, which I say only from re-listening. It seems like you've been just something's not clicking.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's somewhat
definitely.
true?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I've written down the Acolyte of the Tide took you down pretty handily, and need we mention the close call with the Knolls?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. You have at the top of your list of priorities a visit to Thandor's monastery to, just reflect and try to maybe, learn something or figure something out. Maybe someone there can help you figure out what's off. When you arrive at Thandor's monastery, which I have in quotes, it's called MNSTRY monastery, but it's like hip.
Oh, gotcha.
You're surprised at what you see. The cache back in Mordell is what I believe you and Kyle have called your monastery / school back home. Cache. Y'all can never remember what the acronym meant, but that's what it is.
I don't remember.
I don't remember if y'all ever even told me. But the cache back in Mordell taught a single tradition, the way of the open hand. Here, however, you see signs in classrooms advertising traditions you didn't really know existed. You see way of Kensei, Long Death, Mercy, Shadow, etc. And it's almost overwhelming. And as you stand in the main hall of monastery, almost in a trance, pondering everything you're being forced to take in all at once, you're tapped on the shoulder. And the person says, excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. And you turn and you see a tall and slender Sorial. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorial are a humanoid race descended from dinosaur-like creatures.
Oh, that's sick. I'm not gonna lie.
I'd never heard of this race,
Me
but
either.
I was just looking through races and I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, basically picture a Dragonborn, but Dino, not Draco.
Yes. Malfoy?
And they are, yeah. And it's a fin head Sariel. So picture like, what are the dinosaurs from the Land Before Time? What's the one?
Oh, God,
Ducky? Is that one of them?
Oh, Ducky.
Was that his name?
Wait. Yeah, I think so.
They have a very sweet and welcoming face. They're an older Sariel. They say, my name is Bloom. I'm sorry if this is too forward, but it's not every day I run into another tiefling, let alone a tiefling monk.
Bloom, it is nice to meet you. My name is Carveth. Yes, I haven't met too many tieflings before. Just Just the one, just my mentor. That's the only tiefling I've ever met before.
Really? My partner, well, my old partner was a tiefling monk. She was incredible, but we went our separate ways years ago.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Was it a mutual understanding of you guys splitting up?
I mean, more or less. It was we just disagreed on too many things. They were she was a bit too closed off. She was so beholden to this one ideal. She believed monks should only study one tradition and didn't see the possibility in exploring other ways of thinking. She was locked into the way of the open hand, which is a good tradition. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good one, but there's so much else to learn.
Well, that's actually pretty interesting because, I practice way of the open hand, and, that's all my mentor ever taught me. So, I've been looking at this little billboard here, and I didn't even know all of these, different traditions existed.
That's interesting. I mean, I can say from experience, like, you and I come from, let's say, a limited people. There's not, there's elves and humans everywhere around here, but you don't see a lot of dinosaur people or,
What the fuck is
demon
a dinosaur?
people running. Well, fair. You know what? What was your mentor's name, if you don't mind me asking?
It's been a long time since I've seen her, but she unfortunately passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
A long time ago, but my mentor and my teacher, her name was Master Yomi.
No shit, huh?
Do you know Master Yomi?
So Yomi kicked the bucket, eh? That's. I hate to hear it. I mean, I don't know what the odds of this are, but Yomi was my partner here.
Oh.
Well, not here in Thandor. Thandor hasn't been around all that long, but we went our separate ways a while back. I found my way here, and she ran off out west. I hate to hear that she has passed on.
I'm sorry. I did not know that was your partner. I guess, I mean, that seems like we should have gotten that a lot sooner, but yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know how many female tiefling monks there are running around yonder, but
yeah, that is fair. But yes, I mean, she was a great mentor, but I've really been struggling. Like I said, I've only learned way of the open hand, and to be blunt, I've gotten my ass kicked several times over the past couple of weeks, and I'm fucking tired of it, so
yeah,
that's why I'm here.
Well, I mean, we all have our preferences, and there's more than one way to skin a goblin, so to speak. But I feel like maybe we should do a little. Let's do a little talking, and maybe we can see if something else suits you a little better.
Okay. Yeah, that would sound great. And I mean, to work with someone that my mentor worked with forever ago. I mean, this would be an honor, and I would love to learn from you.
You and Bloom spend the next couple of days training, and you ended up deciding to go with the Way of the Shadow. Yes. And you spend this week training in the Way of the Shadow and learning what all that can do for you and what all that means. So we have you and Bloom in the dojo, in the monastery. Bloom's talking to you, and y'all are... today, y'all are just reminiscing about Master Yomi. Bloom is like, man, we were an incredible team. I'd cast darkness, and with her devil's sight and my blind fighting, we were unstoppable. And it was it's honestly a shame that we couldn't make things work. But I mean, such is life. That's just the way things go, you know.
You know, I've been meaning to ask you. I mean, I know you said you guys parted ways, and I just wanted to ask, what happened to you guys? Like, why the split?
Well, I mean, we were good friends for a while, and you know, we fought a number of battles together, but eventually our differences just drove a wedge between us. And I once we started to get older and we wanted to take to training people, we just couldn't agree. She believed that she should only teach Way of the Open Hand. And while like I also use Way of Shadow, but I believe that there's so much benefit in teaching the other traditions. There's so much like that our people being monks, our people could just benefit from having all of this opportunity, you know?
That's very interesting, because it sounds like you have a goal. And, you know, me and my brothers, we have, goals, and we have an idea of what we're doing. But, you know, I don't feel like I have a path, you know, when it comes to being a monk. I feel very stuck, and I feel like I'm stagnating, and I want to learn more, and I want to learn everything that I can, you know. I want to know more, you know, about my teacher. I came to peace with their passing, you know. I try not to bring up old emotions, but, you know, sometimes I just wonder. She was very secretive, and I just wonder what her past was like.
She was incredible. I mean, she was pretty one-dimensional. I mean, she fought, and she did everything she did with conviction. I mean, ultimately, that's what drove us apart. But you can't fault her. She believed what she believed, and she fought for it, you know?
That is pretty admirable.
Okay, so Jeremy, to tell you basically what I have told or will tell the other guys, depending on when this is being recorded. Basically, we're leaving off, or jumping in from where we left off in the last episode, where the three of you just entered into Thandor and were greeted by King Otto and his right hand, Dahlia. The three of you were welcomed with open arms. Y'all were treated very well to feasts and parties, and this place is just good times. And the city, honestly, is a bit of a hub, it seems, which, like I said, you just never believed was a thing in this world. And y'all decide, since y'all have had such a crazy, week, to spend some time here and get a little rest. I mean, y'all have just been going physically and emotionally. So you and I discussed a little bit about what your character would want to do with this time. So to get right into it, basically Alandi finds himself fascinated by this city. This city is home to people of all sorts of backgrounds, races, and classes, all living together. And you spend your free time wandering the streets. One day, while you're, just observing the people and the sights, you pass a particularly dark and dirty alleyway, and something catches your eye. The side wall at the edge of an alley is covered top to bottom with flyers. But that's not the interesting part. Reading the negative space you recognize a symbol. It's Thieves' Cant. You recognize, more precisely, you recognize the symbol for Haven. So I assume you want to investigate this.
Oh, heck yes, baby.
Why don't you roll me an investigation check?
Okay.
With advantage, I should say.
Well, the first roll was a nat 20.
Okay, never mind. Pretend I didn't say that. So you are...
I feel like that was a waste.
Yeah, well... you shoot up to attention, and you immediately walk down this alleyway, and with ease, the Thieves' Cant definitely helps, but you find a hidden door in this alleyway that has stairs that lead downward. Do you
I go down the stairs, baby. I'm walking. I'm strutting down like I own the place, man.
Yeah, so you enter into this building and walk down a stairway. As you venture further and further down, you start to hear a noise grow louder and louder, and finally, when you reach the end of these stairs, you enter into what appears to be some sort of underground tavern. Above the bar, you see a large sign with what you assume to be the name of the place, the Underworld.
That's a good tavern name.
So, just wait. So here in the Underworld, you see a number of people, probably like 5 to 6 other patrons. You see a female dark elf bartender tending the bar, if you will, and you see what appears to be an orc bouncer.
I have an important question. So we haven't clarified this or not. I'm a half drow, which is dark elf. So I'm a half dark elf. Have I seen other dark elves before? Or is this the first time that I've actually seen a dark elf?
I think it's not unreasonable that you might not have seen like one or two. But I mean, I don't necessarily, unless you disagree. I mean, it's your character. I don't think it's like the craziest thing. I don't think you're like, oh my god. But I do believe that there would be some sort of like, oh, I want to go speak to that person. You know.
And just to clarify, is the orc like bouncer? He's just hanging out around, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He doesn't look like he's like checking the door. He seems like he's there in case things get out of hand.
Yeah. In case one of the patrons, get a little too riled up. I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Alande is gonna walk up to the dark elf bartender then, and just be like, fucking pulling out a Alande voice.
Remember Boston Dracula.
Yeah. So how's you doing this fine evening, madame?
I'm fine. How are you? Sorry. That was just a kind of weird greeting, I guess.
I tried to be all clever and fancy. What's up?
Hi, can I get you something?
I'll take a drink, but I'm more interested in information if you have it.
Yeah. What can I help you with?
So, I have not met too many of our kin, and I was wondering if you had heard of anyone, who has a tattoo or a marking like this, and then I'm gonna draw the that birthmark I have.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you this the other day. Is your birthmark visible, or do your clothes hide it?
No, it's hidden, because it would be. Okay. It's like on the back of my right shoulder blade. So, like, I could easily show it, but usually most shirts are going to cover it up.
So you're going to draw it for her then?
Yeah.
All right, so she takes a look at it, and she's like, oh, I can't say that I've seen anything like this before. At least it's not, to my knowledge, anything, dark elf related, I suppose. I mean, I guess it could be. It's just not that I know of. What's your name?
Name's Alande. What about you? Sorry,
my name.
very rude of me not to ask.
You guys don't like to ask names. It's okay. My name is Dundai. It's nice to meet you, Alandi. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wish I could be of more help. It is nice to see you, though. We don't get a lot of our kind around here, so it's nice to meet you. Where are you coming in from?
I'm coming in from a little town, Mordell. It's across the forest. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. We didn't hear this town, but here it is.
Yeah, I don't. I've not gone much farther west than here in Thandor. I'm from the east myself. Well, I guess I'm, from the underworld, as you know, but I've been here for a little while, I suppose.
Well, then maybe, and as I said, I apologize for earlier. I know very little of our customs. I was orphaned, so I am just a curious person when it comes to that. So I apologize for putting you on the spot like that.
No, you're okay. So one of the tables off to the side with two dwarves, one of them starting to get a little rowdy. He's an older, gray, kind of ragged dwarf man, and you're startled and your attention is shifted over to him when you hear him slam his hands on the table, and he's like yelling at his friend, and he's yelling, "It's coming back! The Baron yonder is growing! Are you blind?" He's shouting at another dwarf, but he stands up and he starts to shout at the room, "Open your eyes, people!" And Dundai whistles over at the large dwarf the large orc man in the corner, who walks over to the dwarf and escorts him out of the tavern. And as he does, Dundai says, "Thanks, Kai. Alandi, you know what? Why don't I show you around? Let's get out of here." The two of you walk out of the tavern, and she takes you through this interesting, pretty elaborate system of what seems to be tunnels. From what you can tell, she will tell you this as well, but from what you can tell, you're underneath the city right now.
Yeah, I assumed, because I was wondering, because you didn't... I'm assuming we're not just going back up. This tavern is just kind of like an entry point into this whole place.
Yes. So, Elandi, this is the underworld. This is my tavern I started, and me and some of my friends who've moved on to other things, we basically created this system of tunnels to get around Thandor and, explore and keep an eye on things. You see, she points out different tunnels with stairs that lead up to different areas. You see signs where one tunnel leads up to the market, one leads to the royal palace, and you see there's tunnels leading all over Thandor. And she says to you, "Yeah, this is actually modeled. I modeled this whole thing after the underworld. I mean, you probably know all about that, right?"
No, I only know that's where I come from in theory. I couldn't even point you to the closest entrance.
Oh, there's no. We're pretty far from the nearest entrance, as far as I know. I mean, like I said, I came to the surface back out east. I mean, this is basically what it is. It's just a system of tunnels deep in the ground that our people have used for, I don't know, centuries or a millennia. I don't know how old our people are. It felt like home to create something like this in my new home,
No, if I'm being quite honest, this is unbelievably impressive. I mean...
Oh, thank you.
I don't know how to say this other than you don't seem like you've seen enough years to accomplish such an impressive feat as this.
Oh, stop. You know us elves, we age gracefully. So basically, for Jeremy, for you, the underworld is what Yonder's version of the Underdark is, as you gathered, obviously.
I need a little clarification. So I thought you were saying that there is like an underworld, but then also she kind of made her own little mini underworld just under this city.
Yeah, so
but it's not connected to the actual underworld.
No, correct.
Okay.
What she's telling you is the underworld, the greater underworld, is this world's version of what you and I know as the Underdark, where dark elves make their home. She created this tavern and this tunnel system modeled after the underworld. She didn't tell you, I guess. She's a rogue herself and like wanted to have a sort of system to be able to move around the city quickly and unseen if she needed.
Okay. And is it one of those things where it's like, is it designed to be easily navigated by rogues, but kind of like a labyrinth for non-rogues kind of thing? Or is it just actually pretty straightforward? Or is it like mall signs?
Yeah, it's mostly straightforward, but it is very big. Like, it's impressively big and deep how vastly this was built. So it's not necessarily a maze in the sense that, like, if someone found their way down there, like, if they could find signs that tell them, like, oh, this is leading to this, but they could get lost with how big it is.
It's a maze as in, like, it's a big city maze.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And also, I mean, I picture, like, the entrances throughout the city are like those club entrances where you have to go into a phone booth and then it goes down. Like, it's not something you're necessarily going to just stumble into.
Like Superman, like, or Batman, like, go down a pole. Like,
yes, basically. I was picturing, the Cat in the Hat whenever so do you have any questions for Dundai other than
I have a question for
asked?
you, just to clarify. Is she claiming she made all of this?
No, she said that she and a few of her friends who've moved on out of Thandor built this together. Okay,
but she's still like, I've just accidentally met like the boss of the underworld here.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't like make it sound like a ring of people. Like, I think I more wanted her to come off as like, she owns the tavern and like she had a hand in building the place. It's not like an organization that she is the leader of or anything. People are free to use this should they know how to find it, is kind of how I pictured it. Like the symbol haven, I picture means like, if you can read this, you can find safe haven here.
Okay. And then I'm not sure if it would be ready to roleplay this or not, but I'd be curious as to why. So it's hidden with Thieves' Cant, which implies to me that there is something to hide about it. Like, once you're in it, you can be free, but like, is illegal stuff going on here? Is it just something where it's hidden just to minimize people going down there? Like, is it a secret kind of thing where it's like...
So you ask her all that, and she says, I would be foolish to assume that there wasn't illegal stuff going on down here. But we more created it with the intention of just creating a place that was disconnected from the hustle and bustle of the city, and to make our way through without... I mean, we hid it really just so that everyone wasn't using this tunnel system, you know? We didn't have any sort of nefarious intentions, but I mean, it is fair to assume that people will take advantage of anything if they're given the opportunity.
I really appreciate you taking your time out to kind of give me the tour here. I'm really trying to... You came from the east. That's actually where me and my compatriots are headed. Is there any kind of... as I said, we've barely ventured outside of our small little town. So I was wondering, is there anything... There's not like a giant mountain-sized dragon in the east that we need to go around or anything like that, right?
No. I mean, obviously you're going to find your challenges just making your way through, the wilds, if you will. I mean, but there's no sort of like big boss battle dragon that's going to stand in between you and your goal. You might run into roving bands of goblins or thieves, or I can't say.
So not particularly more dangerous than any other path.
Yeah. I mean, not necessarily. I mean, I don't want to tell you this and then you run into something. I mean, I can't know for sure, but there's not like Oh, make sure you avoid the swamp of poison dragon swords. Or
That's for the north, right?
yeah. Just stay out of the poison dragon sword swamp up to the north, and you should be okay.
Well, I appreciate it. And hey, while I'm in town, if your bouncer isn't around or you just need extra hand, I'll be happy to help. You've been kind to me. I want to spread that generosity back to you.
Well, I appreciate it. You're welcome at my tavern anytime.
All right, and then I'm gonna fuck off.
Oh, also, I forgot to say, I don't know if I'm going to actually put it into the episodes, but I named all of the little storylines I'm doing with you guys. That storyline was titled Underworld, starring Milandi Jovovich. Because Mila Jovovich. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. Hey everybody, it's me, Tyler DeSoto, your DM. I just thought I'd step in here for a moment to let you all know a few things. First, I want to thank Landon Gray for writing our theme music. We love it, and Landon has some awesome stuff that you could check out on his Instagram at create_lag. That's the number 8_lag. I also want to thank Jayla Jones for all of our artwork. She did an awesome job with not only our album art, but also designing each of the guys' characters. You can see that on our Instagram, and you can find more of Jayla's work on her Instagram at JaylaMadeJones or on her portfolio site, jaylajones.squarespace.com. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at WanderfulPod, and if you tweet using the hashtag WanderfulPod, then we may use your name in the show, whether it be naming a character after you or something like that. If you have any items that you'd like to suggest for me to sell to the players, then you can send them to our email at wanderfulpod@gmail.com. They can be funny, serious, or whatever you think would be interesting. Also, don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes, or whatever platform you're listening on. That's one of the best things that you can do to help us grow. The other is obviously to share. If you're enjoying the show, tell your friends, your D&D group, your mom, the pizza guy, whoever feels right. Anyway, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to our nonsense. Let's get back to the show. Basically, the way Wave Shadow works is you can now, which I don't remember what you got for Way of the Open Hand, so we need to make sure we remember that you don't have that or you won't have that going forward.
Yeah, I could switch it over really quick.
Cool. Basically, you will have, you'll still have your key points, but you can choose to use 2 key points to duplicate the effects of Darkness, Dark Vision, Pass Without Trace, or Silence, and you gain the cantrip Minor Illusion.
Hell yeah.
And then at different levels, you'll gain more abilities. You've been training under Bloom for about a week now. Training and hanging out. The two of you have been getting along swimmingly. But today, whenever you show up to Monastery, the lights are all dim. I mean, you have dark vision, so that's not a big deal. But all the lights are dim, and when you walk into the dojo, you see Bloom on the other side of the room, on their knees, facing the back wall. What are you doing?
So he's just on his knees, facing the back wall.
And this isn't like the dojo. This isn't like
Yeah. So and just to be like clear, he is like facing away from me.
Yes.
Okay. I think he's gonna try to be stealthy and kind of make his way over next to Bloom.
Okay. Roll stealth.
22.
All right. So what are you trying to do?
I'm gonna stealth up like kind of closer up to Bloom and kind of see what he's doing. I'm gonna try to see what he's doing as well once I get a little closer.
Bloom is literally just sitting there facing the wall. Okay. I mean, it seems like they were like waiting on you.
Okay. Does it look like he noticed me?
I mean, with a 22, I'll say no.
Okay, got to. About how close up do you think I could get?
I say you can probably get within like striking distance. I don't know what you're planning on doing.
Okay. I am going to sneak up behind him and then take a defensive stance And I'll say, Master Bloom, it's interesting to see you here.
It's perfect that this is what you chose to do, because as soon as you start talking and Bloom notices you, he turns invisible.
Oh, fuck me.
And you can't see him anymore.
Oh, shit. I shouldn't have said anything. All right. Shit. Okay. I'm going to just take a defensive stance.
All right. So you're taken aback by this, and you take your defensive stance, and then suddenly you feel a sharp steel press against your back.
Oh, shit.
And they say, you're not ready to learn this skill, but it's fun insight into what your future holds. So what they did was they used a skill that you would gain should you become a level 11 Way of Shadow monk, where shit. If they're in dim light, they can turn invisible.
Oh, fuck.
At least until they attack or do something.
That's fucking sick.
And then they say, well, something you can do now, however, actually, here's what we're going to do. And a shadow enters the room on the other side. And this figure, the shadow on the other side of the room, begins chanting in a language that you can't quite understand. And as they chant, they are conjuring a fireball that's getting larger and larger by the second. What do you do?
I'm going to go ahead and sprint kind of diagonally towards them. So kind of like not directly at them, but like at an angle where I'm still running towards them.
All right. It's just conjuring this spell, and the fireball is getting bigger and bigger.
Okay, gotcha.
This figure literally doesn't respond to anything you're doing. It is just vocally channeling a fireball.
Okay. I'm going to smack him with my staff.
All right, give me a roll.
Okay. Ooh, 9 plus 6, 15.
Yeah, so you smack at this figure, and its form dissipates, and then about 3 seconds later, it reforms and starts channeling fireball again from the beginning, though.
Oh my god, okay.
And then you hear Bloom from the other side of the room say, I thought you were trying to move away from Way of the Fist. I mean, you're not even thinking about what we've been training this week.
I'm gonna get behind the shadow. I'm assuming it's not like an actual person. It's just kind of like a shadow figure kind of
correct person. But it is conjuring a spell.
Yeah, so I'm gonna move to their blind spot, and I'm going to use 2 key points to cast Silence.
Now that's thinking like a shadow monk. And you remember from your training this week that Silence makes spells that are casted verbally impossible to cast. While I don't, in our campaign, I don't make casters worry about components and stuff, because, I mean, that's boring for a podcast, I would say. Things like whether or not they are verbal.
Yeah.
If you want to check if a spell is being casted and you see a situation and you find out that it's verbal, you can do this to stop that person from casting spells.
Hell yeah.
Bloom comes up to you and he says, now, there's a lot of ways that to take advantage of our abilities. For instance, like you just did, I learned blind fighting as a way to take advantage of other people's weakness if I cast darkness. Your Master Yomi had Devil Sight and could see through the darkness. There's so many creative ways to take advantage of our capabilities, and I'm sure you'll figure out your own version of whatever we can do on your journeys.
Master Bloom, it was a pleasure learning from you, and I can't thank you enough. I came to this place, so down on myself, and, all I really want to do is, protect my brothers and find our parents.
Well, I think you're on the right track. So Alani, you spent a significant amount of your time in Thandor getting to know Dahlia and her friends after that exchange. Like,
Oh yeah, this seems like my kind of place.
yeah, you found all of them to be incredibly pleasant and welcoming and just kind of like very hospitable. You also start learning from her and her friends. However, something she learns from you pretty quickly as you've spent time together is she learns of your struggle with your new elemental powers. And she introduces you to her friend Andrea. Andrea is a sorceress who's gone through a similar thing in the past, and Dundai is convinced that Andrea might be able to help you at least better understand, maybe even gain a little bit of control of your powers, if you're interested.
Oh no, that sounds wonderful.
Dundai leads you to Andrea's, her office. I mean, more or less an office. I wanted to say dojo, but that doesn't make sense. A sorceress wouldn't have a dojo. What would you call like her magic house? You walk in and you see this human sorceress woman sitting in front of you, and she's wearing a cloak and she's jeweled and she has a staff, and she greets you. Alandi, it's nice to meet you. Dundai was telling me you'd be coming by.
Yes, I've met her. She's quite lovely. I was told that you might be able to help me with my newfound abilities.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me what's going on?
So, I would basically explain that I've been able to summon like the chaotic energy, and recently I was able to manifest it with that chaos bolt thing where I throw it and then a random effect. But then, even more recently, whenever I got extremely angry, I was able then to summon like these fire elemental daggers from the chaos. So like I was actually able to manifest a specific element instead of just throwing randomness at people. I want to see if I can get better at, because so far I've only really been able to do it under like extreme duress kind of situations.
So here's what I'm thinking. I am what you would call a chaos sorcerer. So I mean, I think that it makes sense that Dundai would
You
send you
sound
my
like
way.
you are exactly who I'm looking for.
It's funny how that works out, right? So chaos magic is a tricky bitch, if you will. By its nature, it can only be controlled so much. I mean, it is literally channeling chaos. But I think I can help you. So the way I've thought of trying to do this, we're still only 7 episodes into the podcast, so I don't want to just give you control over these powers.
Yeah.
But I did think of what I think will be an interesting mechanic. So chaos magic is dangerous. By its nature, it cannot be controlled completely. But trying to harness a specificity can cause potentially dangerous results, or potentially good ones, I guess. I think I can help you to gain a little bit more control over a certain aspect of your chaos powers, but it could have potentially questionable downsides. And so the way that I want this to work is I want to give you the option when you cast Chaos Bolt, or if you're, I guess it doesn't have to specifically be Chaos Bolt, but so whenever you cast Chaos Bolt, you roll a d8, and you know whatever you get is what element it is.
Yeah.
So I want to give you the option. My gut was to just do fire, but it doesn't have to be. I wanted to give you the option to pick one of those and be able to cast that specifically if you want. So basically, you would have the choice to cast Chaos Bolt as fire, or you can roll to try to get one of the other ones.
Okay.
But there will be a hiccup. So you two spend a few days sparring, and she's teaching you how to channel chaos bolt in a specific way to achieve a certain outcome, and she says to you, "Okay, shoot me a chaos bolt. Give me some force. Give it to me. I'm ready."
I'm gonna bolt. Oh. It's gonna be 16 plus my other stuff, so I think it'll be
Cool.
over 20.
That hits.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you cast chaos bolt, and for the first time, you purposefully cast a force chaos bolt. You didn't have to roll. You didn't have you were able to do what you intended to do. And she says, "Okay, well, that was great, Alandi. Now, cast one at me, just normally."
I have a quick clarification thing.
Yes.
Game mechanics wise, I'm not able to cast Chaos Bolt more than once a day.
Let's figure that out later. For this training session,
We'll
let's
just-
pretend
okay,
you can
yeah.
cast it multiple times a
All
day.
right. Fuck, 18. I'm rolling really hot.
All right. Now, normally you would roll a d8. Roll me a d10.
Okay. A 10.
A 10. Okay.
I explode and die.
So we're gonna have to figure out exactly how this works,
Yeah.
mechanic wise. But I am doing some bullshit that I made up myself because I think it's fun.
Good.
So she explains.
You
she
just
explained to
described
you,
all of D&D. Some bullshit I've made up myself because it's fun.
So she explains to you that chaos magic, like she explained, chaos magic is dangerous and it is random. So by giving you control, being able to purposefully cast force damage, you are then sacrificing another aspect of control. And when you roll a 10,
I pee myself.
no,
I'm sorry.
you you turn into a potted plant until the start of your next turn. While a plant, you are incapacitated and have vulnerability to all damage. If you drop to 0 hit points, your pot breaks and your form reverts.
Oh, God.
So what's happening is, by gaining control of a certain element, you're losing control, and if you roll a 9 or a 10, then I'm rolling onto this modified version of the wild magic table.
Oh, that's fun.
It is modified. I'm modifying it because I don't want to force you to go bald or age 15 years.
Yeah.
So,
that's kind of you.
I don't want to make character decisions for you like that.
All right, can we just very quickly just play Alandi? Just as soon as he stops being a pot man, he's looking at his hands.
She goes. I was worried this would happen. I'm sorry. I would have warned you, but it wouldn't have been.
I'm sorry. You were worried I would turn into a potted plant? That's a very specific worry.
Well, I guess maybe not that specifically, but it is one of the more hilarious outcomes that I've seen happen. And she's laughing to herself because it's hilarious.
I'm checking myself for chlorophyll right now. What? I feel like you didn't explain something, or I missed it.
Well, that's why we're doing this. So basically, you have some control and you lose some control. That's the nature of chaos magic, baby.
Does she finger guns away? Just into the shadows?
she finger guns the hell out of you. When the three of you entered Thandor, you were greeted as welcome guests. King Otto put you up in lavish rooms and even threw you a feast. And Bon, you can't quite place it. There's been this bizarre energy coming from Dahlia, the king's right hand. Her attention seemed fixed on you since you first showed up. And what's more, you've been having dreams. It's like she's been speaking to you, but it's broken. Like a dream you can't remember the beginning of. You can only pick out certain words. Enlightenment. Ignorance. The moment. And darkness. and like you just can't. None of it makes sense. You can't. You can tell there's something being said to you. You just can't piece it all together.
And we've only met Dahlia in passing. Like I haven't had like a full conversation with this person. Okay.
The whole group of you are sitting in a dining hall or in the dining hall along with the king and Dahlia and Pharrell and a few other people.
I forgot about. Is Garen okay? The guy we saved,
Gareth.
Oh, Gareth, that's what it was. Yeah, is he all right?
Yeah, he's okay.
Okay, good.
But all of you, actually, Gareth and Pharrell are sitting next to each other at this table. There's lots of people invited to this feast, and there's loud.
I'm definitely going to sit with them.
Well, there's a lot of just conversation going on, and it's loud. And then all of a sudden, for you, the room goes silent, and you look around, and you can tell that this doesn't seem to be the case for everyone else. Then you start to hear whispers, and I need you to roll a wisdom check with advantage because of Sarah's wisdom. Sarah, is that right?
Yes. Okay.
Sarah,
definitely need that. Yeah, it was Sarah's wisdom.
Yes.
So that is 12 plus 5 with that advantage roll. That's 17.
Sweet. Okay. So
the first roll was a 5.
You focus your mind, and you're able now to make out what you feel like has been being spoken to you, and you notice Dahlia. Her eyes are locked on you, and you hear, "The path to enlightenment is clear. It is our ignorance that is keeping us from seeing. The moment I laid eyes on you, I knew a darkness looms over you. You've seen it. Whether you knew it, I cannot say, but you have seen it. If you seek answers, come to my quarters this evening." And all of a sudden you can hear everyone again uproariously enjoying each other's company, and everyone else is none the wiser to whatever you are experiencing.
I think I just kind of like shake my head and kind of come back to, and I'm looking at Gareth and Pharrell talking or whatever. Hey, Gareth.
I don't remember Gareth's voice. Yeah, what's up?
You healed. Your voice sounds different anyway.
Oh yeah, that was just my pained voice.
Wounded voice.
I don't remember what he sounded like.
Would you be able to? I think it was just like a generic kind of like calm, knightly voice, like a little proper, but not quite.
Okay. Cool.
Would you? If this is too much, please feel free to say no. But would you accompany me? Not to where I'm going, but to kind of just keep an eye out.
Yeah. What can I do for you?
I was requested for a meeting with.
Are you waiting till the end of the feast for this, or are you doing this right now?
I figure, yeah, we would just mingle. We can mingle here, but I'm going. I have a meeting with Dahlia, and I don't know. Something just seems off. I'd like a little extra eyes outside of the prize, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. I can come with you. At the end of this dinner, you and Gareth walk. Gareth really more or less leads you to Dahlia's chambers. Do you want him to stay outside or come
just
with
stay
you?
Stay outside,
okay.
Yeah. No, stay outside, yeah. If you could just wait outside the door, and if anything sounds a little amiss or iffy, maybe we should have a code word. If you hear me say chrysanthemum a lot, that means I'm about to die.
I feel like if you said chrysanthemum to me, I would have assumed you were about to die anyway, but sure thing.
It's a weird word.
I'll hang out here.
All right. And I kind of give him a tap on the shoulder, and I knock.
Yeah, so this place is relatively unoccupied. There's no guards. There's no fanfare. And
would you say it's farther out from the main sort of area where we were doing the feasting and things?
Yes. In fact, Pharrell had invited you to a bit of an after party that they were throwing, but you definitely felt that this was a more pressing matter for you.
I think secretly I was like, I'm trying to bang Gareth. Just give me a few.
Cool. But you arrive at Dahlia's room, and so it's not actually a door It's
it's
like curtains that like cover the doorway. You know, like
he just knocks on the fabric and just kind of pushes his way in. Excuse me, hello. He's
you just get the vibe that you're welcome.
Okay. It feel like the room feels like
Yes.
that. Okay, that's it. Even with that being a welcoming thing, it's something about it's a little creepy.
For sure, it's a little creepy. It's
a little creepy. Yeah.
But you walk in, and Dahlia's room is pretty much as you would have expected. There's various intriguing items strewn about. There's tomes piled on the desks, and a small table at the center with no chairs. And Dahlia sits at this table cross-legged on the floor, and she notices you and stands up but says nothing. She just walks over to you and places a hand on your forehead. Suddenly, you have a vision. It's the same vision you had in the Den of Tiny Thieves. 3 cloaked figures huddling around the Acolyte of the Tide. They notice you, and the vision ends. Finally, she speaks to you. She says, Bon. Nope, that's not it.
I like it.
Yes,
like it? Breathy and good, like very dramatic and breathy. Yes.
Bon, you have a sort of scar, one that cannot be seen, and yet I noticed the moment I laid eyes on you. I want to help you.
How did you do that? How do you know about that? What is this?
Some consider me to be an oracle. I want to help. I want to help you to see clearly.
A lot. That was a lot, is what I'll say first and foremost. That was so much. You've been sending me cryptic dreams. You just made me have a vision of a very traumatic moment in my life, and you want to help me. First of all, what is that? Who are they?
I needed to make sure that you have the capability to see clearly. I was sending you these messages, and I needed to know that you could interpret them. Otherwise, you may have been beyond my help. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't mean to be cruel with my words, but I needed to know that you were prepared.
And that all depends on what that entails. Who are those robed figures? Why did they come to me and not my brothers?
I don't know that I possess the knowledge to answer your questions, but what I do believe I could do is train you and potentially give you the ability to delve further yourself. You see, visions can be both a blessing and a curse. And I wish this weren't the case, but I can neither tell you whether or not you caused this vision or if someone else wanted you to see what you did. But that is what I intend to help you find out.
Will this endanger my brothers in any way? If I continue down this path of knowledge that we both know nothing about, but you seem to know more about?
Not in and of itself. The pursuit of knowledge always lends to a potential danger. Just in and of itself, the quest to know more is so enticing. Many people do become lost in this. So I cannot say no completely.
I think I'll do it, but I reserve the right to pull the cord on this and bounce the second it gets hairy.
So you and Dahlia basically spend near a whole week exploring visions and mental capacities.
Oh, shit.
And you relatively quickly, this sketchy vibe you got from her at first starts to go away as you see that she is well-intentioned and
if a bit terrifying.
I mean she is a mystic, she is an oracle. This is kind of an intimidating person, and I mean, you quickly learn that like the king has her as his right hand for a reason. She is incredibly powerful. So through this week, she would.
Is it like
Yeah.
strenuous to do this for Bond? Would you say this is like
This,
a new
I
sort
think,
of training almost?
I think this is an emotionally and even spiritually
exhausting.
and mentally taxing week.
Yeah.
But the more time you spend with her working on this, the more you kind of are able to tell, like, this is important. Like, especially because
I think you would.
that vision you had was, I mean, I don't mean to speak for you, but it was like
No, it was
keeping you
cryptic
up.
as fuck.
It was keeping you up at night. I mean,
No, this is definitely something that like
Yeah.
affected him because like he didn't know if it was like stress related because he was freaking out and having like his like moment with him and his revenge plot.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like he's definitely like through all of this having to relive that. It's like a weird therapy almost.
yeah. So throughout this week, she would your training sessions basically looked like she would induce a vision in you, and you would attempt to gain control over it. And it took a while, but you started to get the hang of it. She says to you, Bon, the last thing you must know is this. The being that causes this vision is ultimately in control. If you caused this vision, whether intentionally or not, then you can gain full control. However, if someone else gives you this vision, the best you can do is escape. Unless that being allowed you to gain control. And suddenly you're having a vision. You're standing in front of a fountain, and you could hear someone doing something behind you, but you can't turn around. You feel like you did in that vision before, where you can see what's happening, but you have no ability to move and no ability to interact. Give me a wisdom check, once again with advantage because of Sarah's will.
Thank God. Okay. That is a 22.
A 22?
17 plus 5.
So you try your hardest to gain control, and you immediately wake up. The vision ends, and she says to you, "You see, you were able to take control, but the vision ended. The vision only ended because I did not allow you control. You were able to come out of this. Let's do it again." And suddenly you're having a vision again. You're in front of this fountain, and you're unable to move. Roll me again.
Okay, that's the first one, and then that is 24.
This time you take control, only you don't wake up. You feel like you have the freedom. What do you do in this vision?
I don't fully turn, but I turn my head and kind of look out of my periphery at whatever I can see to try and not make whatever it is aware that I am conscious.
Okay. So you why don't you roll stealth with disadvantage?
Okay, yeah, because like I wouldn't have that much control because that's the whole point. Yeah. Okay. Oh boy. That is 8 and 8.
So you turn around. You try to be
definitely
sneaky.
straining really hard.
Yeah, you're trying to be sneaky with it. But as you slowly turn to see what's going on behind you, Dahlia is standing there directly in your face. And once again, she touches your forehead, and you wake up, and you fall backwards, having taken 16 psychic damage.
Oh, shit.
And she says to you, "I'm sorry, Bon. While perhaps cruel, this was, I thought, the best way to display the danger of what we're doing." And she heals you back to full. She says, "I allowed you control, which is great for you. You're free to explore deeper into what you're seeing and what's happening, but you're vulnerable. There are only 2 reasons you'd be allowed control: ignorance and, well, a trap. It is possible the being that casted this vision didn't know how to keep you out of it, but it is quite the risk to attempt control. She says, I want you to take control of this vision. I'll come with you. It is risky. I can come with you into this vision. I should be able to protect you from most things if they go awry, but I feel that this vision you had is too important to just ignore. I don't know why. I just know it is.
I think Bond like kind of sits up and wipes the blood from his nose from the psychic damage he just took, and is just like, no, I want to do it.
You want to do it?
I want to learn how to control this. I want to do it.
Okay. So
again, he kind of like sits in the position in front of her.
Yeah, the two of you sit in front of each other, cross-legged, and you she holds her hands out like she has whenever you've entered visions together, and you grab her hands and you two close your eyes, and suddenly you're in that space again. In front of you is the three cloaked figures sitting above that dead acolyte of the tide, and to your right is Dahlia. Give me a wisdom check.
All right, that was another 24. That was 18 plus 5.
You realize that you have some control, and I don't imagine you move. I think you, as you gain control, it's almost like whenever before, you know how like whenever you like unfocus your eyes, like it's almost like your eyes focus, except like in your head. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. I get what you mean. Like where it's like blurry and then it goes to a more clear picture as you like. Yeah.
And you realize that you can hear these three beings speaking now that you've gained some control. They're whispering, and you hear, "I told you we couldn't trust him to get this done." And then you hear another one say, "And now they have the map. We cannot allow them to find what is hidden." And then you hear the third one, "We have not before, nor will we in the future fail. Our purpose is righteous." Roll me a perception check.
Okay. That is 9 plus 3, 12.
You notice that Dahlia has not moved or anything, and you look over at her, and you see something you haven't seen. You've entered visions together before, and you just see a slightly dreamy version of her figure whenever you both enter into a vision together. But you look over and you see a cloudy black outline around her, and you're not sure what that is, but it almost seems like she's frozen. She's here with you, but she seems frozen, and you look back over at the three figures, and they are now all looking at you, and then you wake up, and you look over at where Dahlia was holding your hands, and she is on her back unconscious.